Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2025 Chess World Cup. This is an epic, massive knockout tournament, which happens every couple of years. And in this edition, the top 3 finishers, gold, silver, and bronze, will make it into the next candidates tournament. This is the single largest contributor to the next candidates tournament, offering up 3 different spots. The world champion Gesh is playing, but basically everybody under the sun is playing in this tournament outside of the top 3 players in the world. This is my first recap. Already some games have happened. I will go through them. I'll keep you up to date with the storylines. I'm not going to cover every single round because there's a month of chess. Before I get into the games today, though, I would be remiss if I didn't address something extremely important, extremely dear to me, important to me, close to my heart, and I think close to many of you as well. I'm going to try to be brief, although I have a lot to say. It's November 5th when I'm recording this video, and about 2 weeks ago, we received the terrible news of the tragic passing of Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. You know, the internet, the chess world took it upon itself to then kind of lay the blame solely on Vladimir Kramnik, given his actions over the last year and a half. Rather than getting into that, I'm going to address something a little bit different. Basically, right after the news came out that Daniel had passed away, Emil Sutovsky, the CEO of the International Chess Federation, posted on Twitter in a video that I uploaded called Justice for Daniel Naroditsky. I addressed that, where he essentially pointed the finger at Daniel's friends and said, why weren't they there, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to be completely honest. Had a statement like that been made by any head of any international governing body in sport or sports league or whatever, this individual would not be at that position today. And so for me personally, all the FIDE drama aside of whatever in the past, this was the tipping point. And I cannot sit here and basically have any respect for the International Chess Federation aside from the tournaments that are organized out of respect for the players and the fans that want to watch. And so I will cover the games of the World Cup and the candidates and the World Championship. But unless FIDE does something about the year and a half involving, cheating accusations and so on and so forth, as well as the people that run it, I will be bringing this up in multiple recaps as we go. Okay? It's not a serious governing body. It's just not. They don't adhere to, any sort of consistent principles that would, that other international sporting organizations would be holding their executives to. And they, I'm hoping they do something, but I have absolutely zero optimism, and we'll see what the future holds. All right? That's all I have to say. It was a 3-minute introduction, but I am unbelievably disappointed, and I refuse to simply move on and keep covering top tournaments and let all of this just sort of fade. All right? And that's what I have to say about the World Cup. Here we go. All right. I'm sorry that we have to start on such a note. We will now focus on the chess. But as I said, yeah, I'll be watching very closely what the International Chess Federation decides to do over the next couple of weeks into their investigations and so on. And if I am unsatisfied, and I think millions of you will be unsatisfied as well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a future as it pertains to the international governing body of the game and any sort of remaining respect for it. So, here we go. First game I'm going to show you is this matchup between Lithuanian Grandmaster Titus Stremavicius. And what's interesting about Titus is that he has played many tournaments here in the United States and in New York. And his opponent is Grandmaster Wesley So. So just so wild to see Titus not playing in a local tournament in America and playing Wesley So on the big stage. And we have many, many more matchups. So D4, D5, a Queen's Gambit One of the most traditional openings, not too important. Titus bringing the bishop out early. Wesley responding h3, queen b6, and Wesley trying to play in a little bit more of a provocative way with g6, bishop f5, trying to target white's queen, and obviously very non-traditional. Normally pieces are, going to d7, black is castling much faster. This game gets pretty spicy. Wesley sort of provokes Titus into playing h3 and g4, puts the bishop here, we have bishop e2, and we have this position. Now, at this point, the best plan for black is to trade off the light-squared bishop, which is what Wesley does. Now all his pawns are on light squares. He doesn't have to worry about the problem of the light-squared bishop. Titus just, brings the queen up. Titus generally quite a fast player, but so is Wesley. And we have e4. So Wesley takes a step back. Titus attacks the center. But now in the middle game, Wesley chooses a bad plan. He plays a little bit slowly, and Titus is obviously building up the move d5. Wesley puts a knight there. And then from this point forward, it gets quite bad for black. So Wesley makes apparently a grave mistake, allowing the move pawn to g5, which Titus plays. And Wesley, goes for a combination rather than just losing the pawn in the center. He takes on c3, pawn takes f6, and Titus just gives away a rook. Just gives away a rook and correctly evaluates that the knight is completely stuck. It's going to have to sacrifice itself. And I don't really know why Titus didn't just take the knight. I think he thought he had a little bit more time to do it with the move bishop to f6. He could have played rook f2 instead of bishop f6, but he went like this, and I guess his idea was that he wants to do it like this and just be up the piece. So that's also quite reasonable. He could have had two bishops for a rook, which might have been even stronger because he would have had checkmating ideas, but he does it like this. He no longer has the checkmating ideas, but he has just straight up a piece. He's completely winning. I mean, Wesley miscalculated something, and Titus is totally winning. And so now Titus has to convert this position. He needs to keep his king safe, which is why I thought maybe two bishops on the board would have been a little bit better. He's playing the position. I bet at this point, Titus is like, what the hell? I'm beating a 2750. This is kind of insane. Wesley going for a queen endgame, looking to make a draw, obviously. He's trying to hold on. And, the craziest thing about this position, as Titus slowly, very slowly, may I say, somehow blunders a draw. Like, somehow he blunders a draw. This is now no longer winning anymore. It's not easy to win this position with white because, you think, well, the extra bishop is going to just checkmate the opponent. It's not so fast. That's not really how it works. You need to win the pawns, but you can't really win the pawns. And now, after this trade, apparently black is drawing this game because, he's going to run the pawns forward. And then white is not going to be able to stop promotion. So Titus keeps moving around, and g3 is played, and, bishop c6, and apparently this is a draw. Apparently this is a draw in endgame, which is mind-blowing because white is just straight up a bishop, and obviously we'll have one of these two pawns to make into a queen. h3 is apparently a losing move because now your pawns are actually blockaded. Like, apparently when the pawn was on h4, this was still a draw. Unfathomable. So now Titus is completely winning because black has no moves. And he's just going to win the pawns, right? So we walk the king over bishop g2, and now black is out of moves, because what will happen is you will go here, black will go here, you will go here, black will move back, you'll win both pawns, and you'll win the game, right? So king g5, a4, okay, and that's and Wesley So in this position resigned. He resigned the game. Except this position is a draw. This position is a draw. But this position is winning. Why? This is mind-blowing stuff. So the reason this position is a draw, Wesley resigned because he thought king e3, king h4, king f4, king h5, you win. The reason why it's a draw after king e3 is king h4 here, you sacrifice the h pawn, and then you go king h3, and you say, what's the big deal? The pawn is stopped. It's not. You don't have a move. You don't have a move here with white, because if you take the last pawn, it's a stalemate. You say, okay, so what? All right, I mean, go here. All right, Levy, you proved your point, but what if you go run for and win those pawns over there? Yes. G2, take, king d4, king f3, king c4, king e3, king b5, king d4, king a5, king c3. You both promote. This is only winning for Titus b4 is the same problem. This is only winning for Titus if you do all of this without these pawns. Why? Because here's the difference. If b4, take, and something like king f3, king h4, and you go for the exact same position, right? Same position. This is winning. Why is this winning? Because now black has no pawn to win. In the other version, black was running down one of the pawns. So this endgame with 2 and 2 is a draw. Can you believe it? This is crazy. This is completely crazy. Wesley was drawing and resigns and knocks himself out of the World Cup. He just thought he was losing. Crazy position at the end. I mean, it looked like Titus had done everything right. So Titus moves on. He beats Wesley So, which is bananas. It's the biggest upset of this round. Just incredible stuff. And that's the World Cup for you. You know, this is why I'm going to cover it, despite all of my issues with the International Federation, because these players deserve to be covered. And I'm not going to, you know, boycott the candidates and whatever, but I will be very vocal about my my problems with the leadership and with the decision making. Next game I have for you is Yani versus Diptyan Gesh. I think this is the first time I've covered Diptyan. Please tell me how to pronounce his name. It could be Gesh. I'm actually not even sure how old Gesh is. I think he's like 30 to 40, but he could be 20 and he could be 15. Like I straight up, I think he's a little bit older. But I don't know. I actually don't know. There's so many grandmasters in India. For many people, for fans of Yani Pomnishi, those who remain, you know, given all the stuff, you know, he's got to win in the World Cup. That's what he has to do to make it to the candidates. He plays a Spanish and an anti-martial. I think this was played in the World Championship match. Very normal stuff in the opening. And then right around like move 16, 15, Jan here plays h3. He plays just kind of like a waiting move. And black goes bishop a6. And obviously Jan had planned this. He was probably thinking to play something like a bishop c4, but he walks directly into bishop takes f2. So I'm not really sure what was missed here with this move h3. Like maybe he just thought he goes bishop c4. Maybe he just missed bishop f2 completely. Maybe he thought bishop c4, bishop f2, queen f2, or I don't know, king f2, queen c5. Like maybe he saw this, but I don't know. He's just losing a pawn here. I don't know exactly. But black completely swarmed him. Diptyan got a fantastic position and never looked back. And I mean, he grabs the pawn on b2. The rook comes in. The rook comes back. And, you know, Jan tries to go for some complications with his bishops. Maybe he thought this position was not bad for him with the bishops. But Diptyan played a fantastic game, sent it to an endgame very quickly. And this endgame is not just worse for white. It is actually just straight up losing, because you have such a huge weakness. Black is going to make a pass pawn. Black is going to get the king to the middle much faster. And yeah, look, black is 2 weaknesses for white and an absolute masterclass from the 2570 rated Indian grandmaster who, you know, you would think 2570 in this day and age is nothing too special because you have all these 2770s. But Nepo is below 2730 for the first time in, I don't know, maybe 10 years? Like, I think Jan crossed into 2740, 2750 territory in like 2017 or something. It's mind-blowing. You know, the gap in skill between the 27 and the 2500 FIDE rated players has gotten so small. And that's actually, by the way, where I think a lot of these cheating accusations come from. There was no cheating accusations after this game. I'm talking about the online stuff. Like, the gap of players' skill level is getting much smaller with, you know, the invention of openings and training and, I mean, just everything. Opening, you know, materials and so on. Yeah, so the local hero, I don't know if I can say local. I don't know if Gesh is from Chennai, Goa, Hyderabad. Like, I don't know. But, you know, the Indian player knocking out Yani Pomnishi, couple of upsets. Speaking of, perhaps the story of the tournament is Faustino Oro. Faustino Oro is 12 years old, still on pace to become the youngest grandmaster ever, but no pressure. He is a 2509 FIDE rating, completely ridiculous. Another player, by the way, who Kramnik insinuated. You know, again, I don't want to I don't want to make dedicated videos about the things that are being said online by that man. I have the utmost disdain for him, and words cannot fully summarize it. You would probably need to drink a couple beers with me to get, my true unfiltered opinions, because I don't think I would like to share them here. But yeah, even he at some point, was was directed at and whatnot, and yeah, it's just horrible. Anyway, Faustino was playing in his first World Cup, and he took Ante Brkic, the Croatian Grandmaster, to 8 games, playoffs. You play 2 classical games, and then you have tie-break system after that. And this was a blitz game. So this was their 8th playoff game, their 6th playoff game, their 8th game overall. And I just want to show you, this was, in the very first round, Faustino, you don't want to get him in blitz. I mean, dude is 3,200 blitz. I have lost to him many times. I've beaten him, but not recently, when he was much younger, like 10 years old. And in this game, things ended emphatically. I mean, it looked like Brkic, the experienced Grandmaster, was building up an attack, and and Faustino obviously was getting overwhelmed here. 40 seconds on the clock, and it looked like Brkic was about to break in, and then Faustino does what he does to me like all the time when we play against each other. He just reverses. 9 seconds on the clock, getting into a scramble against the older player. A bunch of moves are made. Faustino begins roaring back with the rook, and by the time it came to this position where it looks like Brkic is desperately defending himself, Faustino sacrificing the rook. You cannot take it. Queen would take. You would take with the knight. And Faustino, who was down a game in the playoffs, tied the match and then ended up winning it in the blitz and knocks out 2580 rated opponent Brkic, and for the record, at the time of making this video, has drawn 2 games against Vidit Gujarati. So Faustino Oro has 2 draws against the 2,700 rated Super Grandmaster Grand Swiss winner, previous candidate participant, Vidit Gujarati. I mean, you talk about the gap closing between the 2,500s and the 2,700s. When's the last time a 12-year-old 2,500 drew 2 games against the 2,700? Amazing. I have more games for you. This was a beautiful game. I'm going to just take you through the story of, of different matchups. Hopefully no more spoilers. Pensala Harak Krishna. Nicest guy like ever, by the way, really. I met him in Czech Republic earlier this year. I think he lives there, if I'm not mistaken. And we played a blindfold game against each other where we went like 80 moves in an endgame. I mean, it was really mind-blowing stuff. Okay, e4, e5. This was a Petrov. So a Petrov defense with the move d4. Knight takes, d takes, bishop c5. And now Harak Krishna goes for this move, queen d5. So this is clearly preparation. This is not a mistake. This is game review, not understanding the depth of the opening. So you play bishop takes pawn, king e2, and now black defends the knight. So the knight is defending the bishop, the pawn is defending the knight. White now plays the move knight c3. And in this position, the best move for black is, of course, to attack the queen. And my guy, Harak Krishna, uncorks opening preparation savagery and gives away the queen. Loses the queen. The queen is taken, the knight jumps in with check, and you simply take back the bishop. And this reminds you of Nizhmedinov, like the greatest queen sacrifice of all time. That might be the video on this channel. You basically just win 2 pieces. You have 2 pieces for the queen. Black is up 4 points of material. But he's probably sitting there being like, yo, ain't no way this dude just gave me a queen on move 7. Like, what the... So you develop a knight, white develops the bishop, and, the idea could be to go here. The idea could be to stop d4. It very well could be the best move is d4, by the way. Black now needs to quickly activate material and probably trade off a few pieces. But black now proceeds to make 3 inaccuracies in a row. First of all, d4 is deemed an inaccuracy. I don't quite understand why. Pensala plays bishop f4. Now queen b6, developing the queen, attacking this pawn. Just simply a mistake. Why? Because white plays bishop d3, doesn't care about this pawn at all, helps to get a piece into the game. And now, if you take on b2, I can start an attack, I can play rook here and king g1. Like, it's actually unbelievable, this position. He now plays knight e7, which is also deemed a question mark. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to play in this position. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, the computer wants b6. That doesn't even do anything. It's just an insanely difficult position. So 3 mistakes later, white has this position where the king is totally safe. The black pieces can't enter the game. You can't get rid of this knight. It's too strong. Nesterov is trying to do something. he's losing a pawn. He brings in the knight to e3. It looks like he's made some progress, but Harak Krishna completely unconcerned, just literally just moving pieces into the middle of the board. He's not doing anything complicated. Black goes rook f8, another mistake. And Harak Krishna sacks the rook. A queen and a rook sacrificed in 18 moves. Insane. Takes. He has 4 pieces. That's all he has. He has 2 bishops and 2 knights. Just a hard-working set of pieces. But he's winning because bishop g5 is coming and you don't have a move for the king. You don't have a move. The king can't go anywhere. So Nesterov sacks his own rook to try to get a little bit of momentum back, but the king takes. And when the queen comes in here, bishop check, king e6, rook e1, and you cannot prevent... Bishop c4 is mate. Straight up checkmate. So black has to go b5, but you have check here, and you win the rook back. And now white is up material. What the... Queen c3, rook e3, the bishop comes to e4, the king runs away, h4, and the game is over because bishop f5, I mean, the bishop is trapped. The bishop is literally trapped, or the queen is trapped. If the bishop goes to a6, you have bishop f3, queen g6, and then you have like rook a3 trapping the bishop. King e5, rook a6, what is this? What is this game? Yo, where did my guy, Harak Krishna, who is a like positional, savant, come up with a queen sacrifice variation and then sacrificed his rook a little bit later? I mean, goodness me, this was an inspired game of chess. This is the game of the tournament. This could be the game of the year. What was this? Nesterov is a really good player. Harak Krishna moves on by sacrificing all his pieces. Just legendary stuff. Vincent Kimer. Fun fact about Vincent Kimer, who is obviously German #1, but still hasn't qualified to the candidates. But he's going to try, obviously. He plays this ready line. I've actually played this with black. I've also played this with white. So he grabs the bishop pair. Black sets up all of his pieces on the light squares, the pawns. f3, Vincent trying to play for a very quick f3. He plays b3, e3, just very solid setup, not letting black get any closer. h5, h4. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you, like, black should just play slowly here. He should not engage in a violent way, but this is game 2, so Kovalev needs to win this game. He's definitely impacted by the match strategy. He lost in the first game of their matchup because it's 2 games, and so he sacrifices a pawn, which the computer ruthlessly accepts and calls a completely idiotic move, black going for counterplay, and Vincent just very correctly striking in the middle, not letting black get any momentum. And if the bishop just moves to a very powerful diagonal, you march black down completely. a5, rook a4, bro. He just went rook a4. Like, rook a4 and bishop a3 incoming to keep the pawn protected. Black can't castle. Very inspired chess. You challenge Vincent Kimer to be creative. Just like, bro just went king d1. Like, best move, by the way. Just king d1. So that whenever you take anything, it's not a check. He just, puts the king on d1, defends, gets out of the way. But king d1's an awesome move. You challenge a 2770 rated player to be creative. He will be creative. Obviously impacted by the match situation, but an absolutely brutal game. Brutal doesn't even begin to describe it. Vincent Kimer 2-0s the very strong Kovalev. Vincent Kimer is the 4th highest rated player on the planet. How about that for a fun fact? I made a video about him that he is the most underappreciated and perhaps unknown chess prodigy. I know that the Germans watching this know who he is, and I know that the chess fans watching this know who he is, but all of the attention is on the Firuzhas, the Niemans, the Gukeshes, Erigaisis, Prague, Nodirbek Abdusatorov, like, etc., etc. Vincent Kimer's the #4 rated player in the world. He's higher rated than the world champion. He's higher rated than Arjun Erigaisi. He's like 2778 right now. And he just 2-0'd his opponent. I hope he makes the candidates. I really do. Dude's a monster. All right, we are going to keep moving around. We got to go check in on the world champion who's playing in the World Cup to try to qualify to the candidates to beat himself. I actually don't know how this works. If Gukesh wins or finishes top 3 in this tournament, I don't know what happens to the candidate spot. I also think it's really silly. The reigning champion can play in tournaments that impact the seeding. I just think that doesn't make any sense. Not that I'm criticizing him. I just think... See, that's one of the rules in FIDE that that's just a rule. It's not me complaining about, leadership or decision-making. But anyway, let's see. And his opponent is Nodirbek Kazibek. Fun fact, we have Nodirbeks in chess. This whole time I thought Nogirbek, I thought that was his first name. I thought Nogirbek was his first name. I think his first name is actually Kazibek. Confusing. Nogirbek. Anyway. E4. Caro-Kann, of course, one of his favorites. Gukesh plays this all the time. And Gukesh, against the exchange Caro-Kann in particular, really likes this setup that I've played myself with e6, bishop d6, knight e7. I'm glad to see Gukesh studied my games and learned from them, rather than vice versa. Rook e1, short castle, and Nogirbek trading the dark squared bishop. Okay, normal stuff. And then trading the knight. He's trying to win control over e5. Yep. Knight e7. Okay. We're starting a little attack. Black kicks out the knight. That's sort of the idea. Okay, bishop d7. Very patient game. At some point, you're going to have to start using the pawns. Black is not going to win this game unless he starts using the pawns. Okay, he's repositioning all his pieces, but the pawns have to get involved at some point. There we go. a5. You're trying to soften up the position over here. Trying to make it a little bit uncomfortable for Nogirbek. And he is kind of out of ideas at this point. And black, there we go, b5, very nice pawn play. Great piece coordination from Gukesh, who shockingly does not repeat moves. E5, excellent. I mean, he understands these positions really, really well. He really does. Just excellent control of the game. Nogirbek now gives up the c4 square for the opponent. Gukesh infiltrating on all fronts. The knight jumping into the position. Shocking turn of events. Gukesh declines the draw again. f4 from Nogirbek. Takes. Queen a3, queen b4. Gukesh, just gets into the position. Slowly positioning every piece correctly. At some point, this bishop is just a monster. It went here, opened the center, then went back, then went here. Very useful piece. MVP of the game. And, yeah. We take queen b2. Nice little finish. And he moves on to the next round. Nogirbek in the first round knocked out Raja. Yes, Ritvik, another Indian grandmaster. Your average grandmaster in India, 2550 GM. Just crazy. And Gukesh moves on. I've got more games for you. We have Peter Leko playing. Anybody know who Peter Leko is? You better know who Peter Leko is. This is my impression of Peter Leko. But hang on. But how can he do this? Legendary commentator. And Bobby Cheng, who has been featured on this channel, but you know what I love? That there are so many grandmasters in the world. I don't mean any disrespect to Bobby Cheng, but who the fuck is that guy? Like, there's Bobby Cheng, 2600 Australian grandmaster. There are so many grandmasters in the world. Like, you don't hear about them because the chess world is a bubble. Not like, some of the stocks now, but like, chess is just like the same 20 people playing in all of the same tournaments. If Bobby Cheng was a professional player who had the same access and, got to play in certain qualifiers, not just him, everybody rated 2570, like Gesh, who defeated Nepo, etc. Titus, the chess world could look so different. But I don't know. Anyway, Peter Leko, absolute legend, world championship contender, a game away, by the way, really, a game away from maybe becoming a world champion. Against Kramnik. How things could have been different. Knight takes, pawn takes, bishop e7. A Petrov defense, Bobby Cheng playing a very, very solid opening. Bishop g4. Yeah, this one is one of those games that was very chill, very normal. Peter started improving his position a little bit. King b1. Black made a couple of moves, but didn't quite choose the best of setups, allowing, White to sort of pick and choose where to jump into the position. And then here he totally lost the thread. He spent 10 minutes. He tried to just kind of hit the ball back like tennis. The problem is this allowed Peter to, knight b5 was not, the computer preferred to trade the rooks, but, White's advantage sort of grew here. He just kept making improving moves, and yeah, Black just kind of ran out of moves. G4, G5, and Leko was like, okay, what if I just attack my opponent? And yeah, rook e6, rook f1, and it's almost not even like much to show here. Peter Leko just went in there, took what was his, and won all of Black's pieces. This game, you know, Leko won in emphatic fashion. He moves on to the next game. I mean, clearly showing good understanding, but I feel like this was a severe underperformance from the Australian Grandmaster. I think he's generally much more solid. But I think what happened was he got into a position and he couldn't quite find the right plan. And that happens. I mean, here the computer wants g5 from black. I'm not. If you play this, I'm not sure you're going to be pushing the pawns. You know, if you play a little bit too passively, like, look, bishop d8, king f8, rook e6, bishop e7, rook e8. Like, it kind of looks like you're playing 2048 with the pieces. Like, you're just sliding each of them one square. And Peter was like, you know, he just went in, played g5, and you want to see Peter go deep in this tournament. Hey, what if Peter... Yo, can you imagine Peter Leko finishes top 3 in the World Cup and makes it to the candidates? Peter Leko in the candidates! That's why I love the World Cup. That's why more players should be playing in these tournaments, and tournaments shouldn't all be closed invitationals. But whatever, I don't care. Anish Giri versus Boyan Maksimovic. I've played Boyan online. He beats me quite frequently. I have played Anish less, but he also beats me quite frequently. A French defense, a winnower, c5, a3, takes, and now knight c6. That is a sideline. That is not a normal line. Normally the queen goes to c7. Boyan trying to close up the position against Anish, like this. And now black relies on queenside counterplay, and white just tries to absolutely slaughter you on this side of the board, and generally somebody wins. So Anish is doing exactly that. He's trying to not let black get anything there. Rook e8. And now he plays king d2. Nice move. King is totally safe. g5, given an inaccuracy, I mean, you have to do something here. So he goes g5, h5. And now it looks like white can't really make any progress, but neither can black. Anish, this is an insane person move. Like, bishop a4 is bananas, but you got to go for it. f5, a counter shot on the other side of the board, trying to soften up the pawn structure. One of these pawns is going to get softened up, right? So now in the future, we might win this pawn and then promote the h-pawn, bishop c6, okay? Now we're trading off the knights. Look at this. We're trading off our dark squared bishop for the knight because the knight is going to be much more useful in the long run. Now Anish playing on both sides of the board, queen a5, king e3. Where's the breakthrough? Where's the breakthrough? You're looking for the breakthrough. Is it there? Some 38 moves. Speaking of which, another 2,500 keeping even for a long time versus the 2,700. This is apparently a fatal mistake. Black needed to play queen d8, queen a5, or something along these lines. He actually had total solidity. Now Anish takes this pawn, which he gave the opponent a little while ago, and this position is totally winning for white. It looks like there are some tactics. It, in fact, even looks like you have like 3 mates. Unfortunately, you lose first. Queen c5 check. And the point is that I will sacrifice on b7. So queen c5 was played. I'm not sure what he was going to do after king a8. Maybe there was rook b6 and the king runs away. But actually, he could have played rook b7. And then queen c5. And then sacrificed the other rook, which was obviously the idea. Check here, check here, and this is mate in 1. So that would have been cool. Anish could have had a double rook sacrifice. Unfortunately, his opponent resigned in this position and didn't let him have it. So there you go. And the last game I would like to show you is Levan versus Aronak Gesh. Hey, Diptayan Gesh, Aronak Gesh. You guys have to tell me how to pronounce this name. e4, e5. I've played Aronak online as well. Played a lot of these players online. Bishop's opening from Levan, who goes for a very tactical opening. It's a very, very complicated opening. He said in an interview he saw his opponent was a good positional player and decided to make the game spicy, which in India should not be a problem. Bishop takes, rook c1. And yeah, this one got out of hand. So the pawn on h2 falls for white. But this is wrong because now both bishops get trapped. And in the end, it's actually not even about this bishop. It's about the fact that black's piece coordination is bad and white has 5 pieces ready to attack. 4 if the knights get traded. fg3. The bishop is just totally out of the game. The queen is going to enter the game pretty soon. The bishop is going to come back. You have d6 as well. Just amazing piece understanding from Aronak. This is Aronak from 20 years ago, 2,800, even 10 years ago, 2830 FIDE rated Aronak. 2722 for him is crazy. And yeah, white is just totally crushing here, which is just such an interesting thing, you know? Like, black is just up a piece, but black's king is open. White will win this back and then go like queen h5, rook g4, rook h4, d6, just get all the pieces in the game. And this was apparently the wrong move. Apparently here he needed to sack his rook with a check, which is crazy. He had to go here, 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 king h8, then he had to go here, and then he had to go d6. That was apparently the right sequence of moves. Purely down a rook, not even playing for checkmate anymore, instead playing for d7, winning back this bishop, and then playing like rook e7, etc. Instead, Levan does it like this. This is apparently the wrong course of action. Doesn't really matter. He still gets a very similar looking position, and just an absolutely gorgeous finish. Queen d3, threatening this. If takes, queen h7, and you have mate, forced, completely. Brutal game. Aronak never moved the queen and rook out of the corner, which is tough. That is really brutal. Folks, there's a lot of players still remaining in this tournament. And so, yeah, I mean, I will keep you updated on the results. Faustino and Vidit play a tiebreak tomorrow. I will try to keep you posted as much as possible. And that's all I have for you. I hope everything I said in the beginning of this video made sense. I was a little rambly. I was worried I wouldn't have my thoughts together because it's a sensitive subject. It's an emotional subject. But my summary is that I want to see some action. I want to see something done by the International Federation instead of sitting on the fence, protecting their own, you know, and I don't know. We will see what the future holds, but I will keep bringing you the games of these great players because they are not at fault whatsoever. They are all trying to pursue their careers and chase their dreams, and the World Cup is one of the best tournaments, along with the Grand Swiss, that exists. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.